Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about what a repository is. It's a term that you hear quite often in software development projects, and it's important to understand. And we start by talking about something that you might have already experienced when you're working on a computer. You're saving files. Like you're working on, I don't know, a document, maybe a letter that you're writing, or a book, or some report, or some college exercise, or whatever it is. um, you write in your Microsoft Word or whatever your word processing tool of choice is, and you save a file, right? And you keep saving over that file. That means the last version, the updated version, uh, on the disk, on your computer, on your hard disk, or on a cloud network drive, is always, well, the last version that you saved. So you begin by, I don't know, typing the first paragraph, typing the second paragraph, and then you save. And well, the version then that's being saved is the status. It has the contents of, well, at the time where you saved the file, right? So when I'm writing a third paragraph and I didn't really save, and my program crashes for some reason, let's assume hypothetically that Word crashes sometimes. Of course it doesn't, but if it did, and you didn't save, then, at least in a simplified situation like that, well, you lose the work that you've been working on after the last time you saved. So you would only be able to recover the first and the second paragraph, because when you were working on the third paragraph, let's assume that you didn't save. Okay. So what's the solution there? Well, have some kind of auto save, right? Save quite often, and yeah, save frequently. So let's continue our assumption there, our story, and say, well, we're gonna save more often, okay? And you keep writing, and you are also sort of in the meantime, you're editing some paragraphs already before you continue writing your moving some stuff around, and you maybe even change some things and delete some paragraphs. And of course, you save quite often, and then you continue working with some paragraphs there. But let's say you delete something by mistake. You delete a paragraph that you were pretty proud of, and that you deleted it, but you didn't really think about too much of it. You saved it, and then you kept working on it. And then the day afterwards, you remember, well, hang on, I had this paragraph written that was quite well written. I was proud of it. Where is it? I can't find it in my file. And you remember that you deleted it and then you saved it, right? So it's gone. You were saving quite often, frequently, but you were overwriting the current version of the document that you're saving with, well, the most recent one. And the most recent one didn't have the paragraph that you deleted yesterday. So yeah, it's gone. You have to remember what you've been writing there in this paragraph, and try to get it out of your head again, to be able to recreate what you've been written there. So what's the solution there? Well, you could save it under a different file name, right? Every day you could say, I'm gonna save as file my document underscore current date, okay? And tomorrow I'm gonna do the same, my document underscore next day's date. So I keep getting more and more files, and I'm able to recover and trace back the steps, what I was working on at which point in time, right? Of course, that wouldn't really save you from losing something during a day. So you could say, well, I'm going to do this for every hour, and maybe there's some automated way to actually keep backup copies. And of course, you know that in the real world, a program like Microsoft Word does have an autosave. It saves backup versions of your file. But let's say that this is also not sufficient, and you want to have a more formal way to have a system to save different versions of your file, of the work that you've been doing at specific points in time. And that's what's a repository actually is providing you. It's providing you a history. It's basically a kind of system where you're still saving files, but you have the possibility to say, okay, I'm gonna commit now my work that's being supposed to be the version 1.0 or whatever it is at this point in time. And this is my comment for that version 1.0. And instead of saving locally to my own computer and trying to make sense of lots of different file names and underscore today, underscore tomorrow, underscore last March or whatever file names, and try to find my way through that, let's have a centralized system, or at least some sort of system, whether it's centralized or not, where we are sort of getting everything together. We collect all the changes, but not also just for my file, but also for files from other people in my team. And we are able to track what we have done. We are able to have sort of that backup copies, and that being able to get back in time and see what we've been doing like 1 year ago, even when we are committing, when we are saving that specific version in time. We are then able to retrieve that specific version. So backup and having a history of all the files available is one of the most important parts of a repository system. Meaning I create a new file, and then regularly I commit my changes to that file. What it also means is that I can get other people's changes to their files, and maybe other people can work on my file as well and change it there without really getting everything mixed up. Okay, so we're talking about a system to distribute our work. Distributed development means I don't have my file Tom.java or whatever my programming language is, and then Martin there across my desk is working on his file Martin.java, and I'm supposed to be working only in my file, and he's supposed to be working only on his file. No, that's not what professional software development is about. We're going to have thousands of files in a big project, and we need a system to track the changes, track who's been changing what in that files, and having a way not to overwrite each other's changes, and having a way to identify when we are about to be overwriting, and then having a way to merge changes from different people together so that we know that we have sort of a cleared and safe version that we are saving there. Okay, so merging different changes is also a big one, a big thing that is an advantage of using a repository system. And lastly, you might have the possibility to, and lastly, you might want to have the possibility to start over and try something out, change something, see if it's working, and if it's working, then you want to sort of make your experiment, that the thing that you've been working on, the changes that you've been doing, make them official and provide them to everybody else. But in the meantime, you don't want to keep people from working on their stuff. So we're talking about different branches of development. And that's a concept that's easier to explain on a piece of paper, on a whiteboard, rather than with me in a podcast. But think about like a train system where you started the train and the railroad and in one specific piece, and then you've got branches off where you can basically decide which way your train is going, meaning in which version of that whole system of the files you're working on, and then the branches can merge together again, and you have different versions, sort of different universes or different timelines for the science fiction freaks like myself. You've got different versions of that file system there, of all the files that make up your software project, and you can switch between them, and you can move changes from one version to the other. And when we're talking about versions, I'm quite sure that you've seen this experiences yourself in the App Store or in the Google Play Store when you're downloading an app, the app doesn't stay the same. It gets updated, and usually you've got some changes written in the App Store on the App Store page, meaning, okay, now this version 2.2.0 has the following bug fixes and changes, and blah 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 blah. So they've been working on this version 2.2.0 in a specific branch there, while at the same time somebody else might be already working on the version 3.0. And preparing that, while another person might be still doing bug fixes on the version 2.1, right? So with branches in a repository, you have the possibility to work on several universes, several time frames, several versions of your projects at the same time. Again, all without getting mixed up, without having to manually rename files and copy stuff from one place to the next. It's really an organized and systematized way to work with files, with lots of different files that are being distributed across several people, and even distributed across several versions of the software product. And this is all the things that a repository gives us when we're working with it in a software project.